Hey everybody, this is Perch, and this is one of those videos I think is kind of touching the third rail a lot, but I sometimes I'm just in the mood. Just you ever, what's it like the cartooners? Peter Griffin in Family Guy. There's a shot of like they're like, don't put your finger in this pencil sharpener, and he's like staring at it, staring at it, staring at it, and eventually he puts it in there and hurts himself, and he's like and then it's like the thing keeps going, and then he kind of stands up and starts to unzip his pants, and you know where this is going, but it's like I don't take it that far. But sometimes you want to touch the third rail. So let me go ahead and do this and piss everybody off. There's a lot of speculation. I don't know why. I mean, I'm a voice on YouTube, and not a particularly popular voice. There are people who say things. I give data, and people listen to videos, and cool. And sometimes I'm driving around like right now, and I'm making a video. It's what's on my mind, and I don't spend a lot of time. Like, I'm not sitting here going, well, I see that right now the popular things on YouTube are Amber Heard and Star Wars. So how can I make a video that correctly correlates both of those things for maximum algorithm? I think I want to talk about why Forge is cool, and then I'll do that. But I get a lot of questions like, so who are you? Who are you affiliated with? And I will answer that in the most honest way possible, which is me and good comics and comics I like and fun. Those are my affiliations. And it really doesn't get much more complicated than that. I've done a lot of interviews with a wide variety of people. And if you're trying to place me in some kind of bucket based on the interviews and the comics I've reviewed, good luck to you, because it's going to be difficult to figure out what I'm doing. I find people whose work I like. I try and talk to them. I find people who maybe I don't like their work. I don't think that's really been the case for anybody, but maybe I'm just not. I'm not the world's biggest fan, but I am a fan of the story they have to tell, and I want to tell it. There's an interesting angle. That's pretty much what I do. I've said this for a long time, way back before it became fashionable. It's actually not fashionable now, but maybe I'm hoping it will be. J. Scott Campbell did his thing, and in his second statement, which I still maintain, it's kind of sad he has to do statements. I always I look at those statements, I'm like, I would rather you spend the time drawing a cover, but it's nice to hear him talk. He made the comment of people should be judged as individuals rather than groups. And that's been my take as well. If somebody's going to come and, I will talk to anyone, has been my comment. If they're talking in a reasonable way, if they're not being an asshole about it, then I will certainly have a conversation. I don't really care about your affiliation. Now, of course, there's limits to that. Sometimes, somebody hit me up in DM and they're like, hey, I'd like to have a conversation with you about comics. I'm like, sure. Okay. It was one of those rare times that I'm looking through the messages. I'm like, yeah, what was it you wanted to know? And the guy's like, I want to know how do we get all the minorities out of comics? I'm like, okay, conversation over. Like, that's not a conversation I want to have. I don't know many people who do want to have that conversation. It's an unreasonable, weird, stupid conversation. So, younger me might have been like, hey, you're wrong. Let's argue. But older me is like, I can just ignore this because there's no point to engaging. I have this thought in the back of my head, like, is this meant to be a joke? Like, maybe this person's doing an elaborate troll. But I'm now old and tired, and I've got all these things going on, and it's like I don't even want to find out the answer to that question. I'll just call it a day. But conversely, I've had people come in and be like, hey, what do you think about this issue of Marvel Fanfare? I heard the thing on Captain America, but a couple issues later is one on Spider-Man. I thought it was kind of interesting. What do you think about this? And I'm like, yeah, I have a conversation with the person. It's a good conversation. And then, 5-6 days later, I see this guy post something that is relatively insane in a thread. And I'm like, oh, so that's what that guy's up to. I don't block him. I just my feeling is, hey, I'm glad I had a nice, good conversation about non-crazy things with this person. That's cool. I'm glad the person thought enough of me not to bring crazy nonsense into my mail, and for that, thank you. I guess. I mean, cool. I'm all good. There's a lot of people who are hung up about groups, and this isn't new. This is certainly something that's gone on with comics, and I would wager fandom in general forever. you're part of this club or that club or whatever else. And the groups get weirdly territorial for no apparent reason. My stance always, and I know this irritates the groups, is that the concept of the group has always felt kind of dumb. I've never been the join a club kind of person. I just never have. Dating back to forever, junior high school on, I was never the join the club kind of person. I was on a couple sports teams in high school. I've done a lot of different things, but I don't, the club I like to join is like reasonable guy. That's my club. So in the past, I feel like various people have tried to draft me to clubs, and with comics, certainly the last couple of years, there's a desire, I think, at times to draft me into Comicsgate. It's like, hey, you're one of us. It's like, I'm not. I'm just not. And it's not, because there aren't reasonable people. There are reasonable people. There's also crazy people. But that's kind of irrelevant. I don't want to, I'm not going to walk around saying I'm part of any group-gate. I'm just not. That's just not what I'm into. Now, if you are, cool. Again, more power to you, and no judgment by joining the club. I will certainly judge you if you start saying insane things, but just joining the club, I mean, I don't know. It's 2021. I think if you're running around with in any group-gate, I kind of, the branding marketing side of me is like, that's a strange choice, because I don't know how viable any -gate group is in 2021. It feels limiting. Look, I'm the guy, you come and you listen to my videos and you see numbers videos and you see me to give analysis about sales growth and all this other kind of stuff. So with that hat on, I go, yeah, I think these groups become limiting. I think that, strategically, and I'm not saying this because of, you're going to be right wing, left wing, called this, called that. It's just, you want me to give you my honest historical answer? None of these things tend to help, just long term. Now, if you're getting something out of it, good for you. If it's something positive you're getting out of it, even better. That's great. Look, there are a million little, different kind of fan bases out there. There's X-Men groups that kind of correlate. There's Legion of Superhero groups. There's all kinds of different groups. What is the name of the cosplayers that dress up like stormtroopers and wander around at the Comic-Cons? I mean, that's a group. There's all kinds of different things. And in many cases, having had many of these people come into a shop, talk to me online, various other things, each group has its eccentricities. I'm not minimizing it. And I guess if you're one of these people who has, you've been spammed, or a bunch of people come and attack you and they've been carrying the flag of whatever group they're attached to during those attacks, I totally get why you are salty or why you dislike these groups. I totally understand. And fair is fair. Again, I know people don't like to hear it, but there have been, people within Comicsgate who have flamed the crap out of others, and they bandy that name around, Comicsgate, and it's given the group a bad rep. You could say, well, we're misunderstood, and that's fine. It's fair. It's your choice, to do that. But you can't. You have to understand that these things have happened in the past. And while it'll be great, J. Scott Campbell said he threw those names aside and just dealt with people as individuals, which is what I try and do. It's great if people will do that for you. I wish more people would, but let's be adults here for a second. Talk adult to adult. Many people won't do that. They won't put aside the name, the label, the group, whatever it is. They won't ignore the actions of someone else to look at you as an individual. Many people find that hard. That's sad that more people won't do that, but it is reality. So if you're going to join into a club that has a stigma or a name to it, then you are going to have to, accept that stigma exists. I feel like there are people, frankly, of different groups. I think there's various LGBTQ groups that have similar problems, where there are people who become very militant or very angry or very hostile, and they spoil it for everyone. And then the first thing people think of when they talk about these groups is the hostile people. And I watch people go, well, that doesn't represent us. And it's like, that may be true, but that's something you've got to overcome. And I'm just trying to be as honest with you as possible. It is a factor. So that is like, again, I've got to. That's one of the reasons why I don't join these groups, because I want to be able to live or die by what I say, by what you're hearing, and not by somebody else's words. I don't want somebody else to talk for me. So I do my own thing. Now, granted, I lose some benefits as a result. There is power in numbers, as they say. And so if you've joined a group of some kind, you will get the benefit of having people in that group, have your back. It is lonelier to go it alone and not work with that support. Absolutely. It's definitely it's a harder road. It's much easier to join a group. That's your choice. I'm not trying to tell you which choice is better or worse or anything else. Uh, for me, again, in addition to all those other reasons, when it comes to comics, comics are meant to be fun. So the thing I want to attach myself to are comics. I don't want things getting in between me and the comics. That's why, even though, as you've heard me say, I'm a fan of the X-Men books, I have been forever. I certainly like some eras more than other eras. I'm not as fond of the current era, but I continue to hang with the X-Men because that's, I just like that title. And yet over the years, and again, I'm talking through the 90s, through the aughts, through all this, there have been many different X-Men groups that have attempted to draft me at one point or another to be part of that club. Um, I haven't wanted, even though I love the property, I haven't wanted to do it because I don't want to be part of that, that groupie. I was one of those people that was always turned off by the Marvel Zombies kind of label. I don't want to be bucketed into that. Now, some people listening to this are going to say, well, that's a fence sitter point of view. Yeah, listen to yourself. That's not a fence sitter point of view. A fence sitter point of view would be, I'm part of all of these groups. It's much harder to say, I'm just going to do my own thing than to make no decision whatsoever. There's another group that says you're kind of whitewashing and minimizing the damage that a group like Comicsgate has done. I mean, again, all I can say is I have very strong feelings against racism, misogyny, bigotry, all those things. I have, but I still choose to, deal with people as individuals. It's my choice. And keep them. The argument that I've gotten into, people are like, oh, so you're going to say that there are good people in the Klan? Well, no, not really. I mean, if you've chosen to pick up a torch and walk around calling for, a reinstitution of slavery, you're making a statement. You're declaring what you are. The challenge with Comicsgate, just to be blunt about it, is that a number of people are part of the Comicsgate group, and their main focus is, look, customer service is important, and we want quality comics. This is our definition of quality comics, and that's where they're coming from. And they find value in being in the group, and that's their call to make. And are there other people walking around saying crazy things? Of course there are. Yes, there absolutely are, as part of that group. I don't know why. Again, I don't have the pull inside to join a group. I don't. So I cannot sit here and tell you, well, this is why you join a group or don't join a group, because I don't feel it myself. That's just not who I am. So the only way to keep myself sane is to say I'm going to deal with people as individuals, and that's what I do. And if you don't like that, if it's like, nope, you have to denounce everything, then frankly that tells me more about you. If you're going to live in a world that's so extreme that you're either all in or all out, then that's a problem. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know. Rather, I know how to deal with it just fine. I just kind of ignore you bluntly. I think that as I've talked about in many other videos and with other people, there's way too much polarization. There is this desire to say we can only see the world with two extremes. There's only two. You're either woke. You're either woke or you're Nazi. That's it. That's all we got. And that's a very childish, stupid, dumb world. That's not how the real world works. And I think, I I've got the mental capacity to boil things into more than just two groups. And I believe in all of you listening to this right now. I'll bet you do too. So my pitch to you right now is, let's not play the game where you have to be this extreme or that extreme. I think that is useless, absolutely useless, defeating, pointless game that frankly just makes you sound dumb. I think we're all capable of viewing the world in a more complex way. And I think we learn more when we view the world in a more complex way. And I think it benefits nobody to have this black and white schism between things. I think if somebody shows up, they say something racist, like look, put it this way. I used this example with somebody else earlier. If you're a fan of the Fantastic Four and you say, I like Reed Richards better than I like the Invisible Woman, that's not a misogynistic statement. That's a preference statement. It's fine. If you say, I like Reed Richards better than Sue Storm because women shouldn't be superheroes, then that's a dumb statement, and it's sexist. Sure. If you say, I like Reed Richards better than Sue Storm because women can't be superheroes, and I'm going to get a job at Marvel and get rid of all the women because women shouldn't be in comics, they should be cooking, then that's another level of sexism and misogyny that you've now done. But very few people say things like that. The people who do are either trolling or stupid. And most people will say things like, hey, I like Reed Richards better than Sue Storm. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's not something that you need to pick up torches for and be crazy about. That's just a statement of preference of character. That's it. And this is the problem with comics and these groups, is that we're pushed to take the most extreme interpretation of what everybody says and to our own detriment. Maybe you like Reed Richards better. It's cool. We need to be listening for the people who are saying, yeah, I'm going to drive all women out of comics because they're not capable and they should be cooking or whatever they're doing. Those are the people to focus on. But when you basically grow the umbrella to be anything that remotely in your crazy mind resembles these extreme positions, you're nuts. You're doing a disservice. The funny thing is, you're doing a disservice to your own agenda. Because when you say crazy things like that, people take you less seriously. And if there are people who are, and I mean, who are there people out there who want to drive women out of the workplace and put them back in the kitchen? I'm sure there are, but God, we're talking about an insignificant percentage of people at this point. We really are. Frankly, if Mrs. Perch wants to go out and get a big job and I can sit at home just watching TV and playing games all day, I am in support of that. That sounds great. but nobody thinks this way. So why are we investing all this time into this weird straw man that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't benefit you, that just is nonsense? We're not helping any cause by doing that. These arguments and these clubs and all this kind of stuff, this viewpoint for comics, it needs to stop arguing against the 0.00001 straw man that exists out there and just start dealing with the masses, such as they are. Anyway, that's my point of view. So there you go. Touch of the 30. I'm told if I make this comment, if I talk about this topic at all, it's death for everything. But, so yeah, we'll see. Who's going to be more pissed off? The pro crowd, the anti crowd? Again, everybody's free to do what they want. Really, you're free to do absolutely whatever you want. Just if you're on the crazy end of that spectrum, just tap down the crazy a little bit, will you? It'll be nice for all of us. Thanks for listening.